with the right side of the body, this is where the fire element predominates. For instance, if you want to do a punch, it's initiated from the right side of the body, and by doing so, there's a stability from the right side of the body that anchors you down and in place. It's like a stick or a doorway. The anchor point is strong on the right side of the body because this right side of the body is the fire element. So, for instance, in the example of the doorway, the right side acts as the what's the word? The hinge, so that if it's fixed in place in one sense, but also can allow an opening in another. So if you think of your right side as the hinge that allows you to turn like that with the example of a punch, then this is the fixed route of the punch. The left side, the water element, is allowed to flow freely around this fundamental anchor. So it's possible to generate energy in the right side of the body in order to propel an attack from the left side. So when you're training, you can think about activating the right side of the body and sending the energy there, the chi energy, the prana energy, from the abdomen to the chest and upwards, so that it's concentrated there for power, stability, and dynamic action. If the left side of the body is for circulating energy, it's not for concentrating. So you concentrate the energy on the right side of the body in order to externalize it and let it flow from the left side. In this way, you can become very powerful in your actions. In addition to that, the energy can be controlled from the head to the sacral region, the base of the spine. You can feel it by visualizing and feeling this energy in a particular exercise, which involves pushing upwards from the back of the head and at the same time allowing the spine to sink down. This allows you to root whilst being pulled up. Now, from the point of view of breathing, you feel this energy by being rooted to the floor via the spine and legs, whether or not there's any breath. So by exhaling, you can lift the back of the head, sink the spine down, and you will feel an automatic lift of the entire body with a corresponding contraction of the whole inside of the system. So as you breathe out, there's a constriction of the center line, which is the sushumna spine, the inner spine, the spinal neurological system. There's a constriction there, as well as a corresponding lift of the body and a lightness to accompany this heavy drop of the center of the body. So there's a drop in the body's center, the sacral hips region, and a lift from the back of the head. Another exercise you can do is to constrict the throat at this time whenever you're exhaling to do a punch. Now, the exhale is always used to externalize. In martial arts, they tend often to focus only on the exhale. The inhale then takes care of itself if this one-pointed mission is accomplished. So you can also visualize and feel constriction of the throat, because by doing so, you empty the lungs of air. So by feeling that, the activity of the neurological system is enhanced, and at the same time, this constriction of the throat assists this lifting of the back of the head, which is to do with the Ajna chakra, which is located at the crown of the head, somewhere between the eyes, but on the reverse part of the head. So this area lifts, and the spine through the legs tries to root to the floor. So there's this idea of the lotus flower, which lifts through the crown of the head and flowers. This is the lift we're feeling. What's being rooted into the water, which is to do with the fluids of the body, which obviously take place at the lower end, within the hips, which feed down. So the legs are active in this. We have various pathways on the inside of the leg to do with circulating the energy. The femoral arteries run up the inside of the leg towards the heart. So obviously the legs are key in this transaction of energy from physical to subtle, from low to high. So if we want to link the legs to the body in martial arts, we've got to feel a plugging of the hips. The legs plug into the hip, the femur in the hip joint. So as we breathe out, we feel a constriction of the hips, and a plugging of the hip joint. So that there's a constriction of everything being brought up. It's as if the legs are being drained through the roots, much like a root system would drain the soil. So the legs are our link to this reality. Just by sitting down, you can imagine constricting the sacral region, the hips, and you'll feel a pulling in of the ball and socket joint, which obviously harnesses lower energies in order to send them up. So to summarize, we have 3 exercises or more. There's a lifting of the back of the head, a constriction of the throat, and a sinking of the pelvis. Now don't confuse this sinking of the pelvis with relaxation, because the energy is sent up. So there's a lifting of the pelvis as it is pushed down. So there's a corresponding lift to the sinking, drawing up of the lower energies. A constriction takes place at this level. So think in these terms. There's a constriction and a lifting of the body and the energy pathways of the neck, solar plexus, hips, and sacral joint as well as the legs. So the key is to, in all our activities, consider these points. For example, when kicking, obviously the leg's extended out, but at the same time, when kicking, the leg is extended out, but at the same time, it's secured firmly and gripped and pulled towards the body in the region of the sacral area. So all the energy is harnessed from this center point, the body's center, which is in the hips. The energy is drawn from here upwards via the neck, and the energy is therefore able to circulate from gross to subtle, from heavy to light.